The massive research vessel Seeker hung silently in Earth's orbit, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to human detection methods. Inside the ship's main observation deck, Dr. Vex stood before the giant viewing screen, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the blue planet below. "Fascinating," he muttered, his scaled fingers dancing across the holographic control panel. "This is nothing like what we expected." The ship's computer had been scanning Earth for the past 3 days, searching for signs of apex predators. Their mission was simple: catalog the most dangerous species in the galaxy for the Grand Archive. But the readings from Earth made no sense. Lead researcher called out one of his assistants. "The final scan results are ready." Dr. Vex turned away from the view screen. "Display them." A 3-dimensional map of Earth appeared in the center of the room, covered in thousands of tiny dots representing different species. But something was wrong. According to their scans, there were no major predator species currently dominating the planet's ecosystems. "This can't be right," said Dr. Vex, his tail twitching with irritation. "Run the scans again." "We already did, sir." 3 times, replied the assistant. "The only notable species showing signs of planetary dominance is this one." The assistant highlighted a particular dot on the map, and it expanded to show a detailed image of a human being. Dr. Vex studied the creature with growing confusion. It had no claws, no significant teeth, no natural armor, and no venom glands. It walked on 2 legs, leaving its front limbs free, and had a notably large brain case compared to its body size. "They live in artificial structures," another researcher added, bringing up images of human cities, "and they seem to have basic space travel capabilities, though nothing that could detect us." Dr. Vex scratched his chin with one clawed finger. In all his years of research, he had never seen anything quite like this. How had such a seemingly defenseless species become the dominant life form on a planet that should, by all rights, be teeming with predators? "Prepare a ground team," he ordered. "We need closer observation." "Sir?" his assistant questioned. "Is that wise?" Our protocols are for studying dangerous species," Dr. Vex interrupted. "These creatures clearly pose no threat. Look at them. No natural weapons, slow movement speed, thin skin. They're practically defenseless." The ground team was assembled within the hour. 5 researchers, equipped with the latest in cloaking and observation technology, prepared to descend to the planet's surface. Dr. Vex selected a small town in a region the humans called Montana for their initial observation point. It was remote enough to avoid detection, but populated enough to provide good data. As the team prepared to leave, Dr. Vex gave them final instructions. "Remember, we're here to observe only. These creatures may have basic technology, but they're clearly not a threat. Just gather data and avoid interaction." The team nodded and boarded their shuttle. As Dr. Vex watched them descend toward Earth's atmosphere, he felt a slight twinge of unease. Something about this planet didn't add up. Where were all the predators? How had these soft, slow creatures survived long enough to build cities? Back at his observation station, he pulled up more images of human activities. They seemed to spend most of their time inside their artificial structures, occasionally emerging to move between buildings and metal vehicles. Some gathered in large groups, others remained solitary. Their behavior patterns were unlike anything he had seen before. "Computer," he said, "begin recording research log. Day 1 of Earth observation. This planet presents a unique puzzle. We came searching for the galaxy's deadliest predators, but instead, we found something else entirely. These humans appear to be neither predator nor prey, yet they dominate their world. Further study is required to understand how they've achieved this." End log. As his words were recorded, Dr. Vex didn't realize that he had just made the first of many incorrect assumptions about humanity, assumptions that would soon be dramatically proven wrong. The morning sun cast long shadows across the small Montana town as Kira adjusted her cloaking device. She had been watching the human settlement for 3 days now, and each observation left her more puzzled than the last. As the junior researcher on the team, she had been assigned to study human youth, what the locals called children. From her hidden position near what the humans called a playground, she watched a group of small humans engaged in a peculiar activity. They were running, hiding, and making strange noises that her universal translator identified as imitations of larger animals. Research log, Day 3, she whispered into her recorder. The young humans continue their bizarre ritual of simulating hunting scenarios. They appear to be practicing stealth and pursuit techniques, though their elders show no signs of being active hunters. A small human boy crouched behind a metal structure, his eyes scanning the area carefully. Another child moved slowly along the perimeter, mimicking the movement patterns of what Kira had identified as a local predator species called a mountain lion. The level of detail in their mimicry was remarkable. Agent 6 to base. Kira transmitted to the research vessel. Request permission to expand observation range to include human dwelling interiors. Dr. Vex's voice crackled through her communicator. Denied. Too risky. Maintain exterior observation only. Kira's tail twitched in frustration. How could they truly understand these creatures without seeing how they lived? The humans spent so much time inside their artificial structures. What secrets were they missing? Later that afternoon, she observed something even more intriguing. A larger human was teaching a group of children how to tie knots and build simple shelters from local materials. Her translator picked up phrases like survival skills and being prepared. Additional log entry, she recorded. The humans appear to be teaching their young survival techniques, despite living in a seemingly safe environment. This behavior suggests either cultural memory of harder times or preparation for future challenges. As she watched, one of the children successfully started a fire using nothing but wooden sticks and friction. The others cheered, and the adult human proudly patted the child's shoulder. Kira noted how the humans seemed to celebrate mastery of tool use rather than physical prowess. That evening, during the research team's daily meeting in their cloaked base camp, Kira shared her observations. Their young train constantly, she explained, displaying her recorded footage. But it's not just physical training. They're learning to use tools, to think strategically, to work together. They're playing games, another researcher dismissed. All young species play. No, Kira insisted. There's more to it. Watch how they move, how they think. These aren't random games. They're practicing skills. Dr. Vex studied the footage with growing interest. Skills for what, though? They have no natural predators left on this planet. Their cities are secure. What are they preparing for? Before anyone could answer, their perimeter sensors triggered an alert. A human was approaching their position. An adult male carrying some kind of long metal tool. Despite their cloaking technology, the team fell silent, watching anxiously as the human walked past their camp. The man stopped, looking around slowly. He seemed to be searching for something. His tool, Kira noticed, was pointed down but ready to be raised quickly. His movements were deliberate, careful, practiced. This wasn't the casual walk of a prey species. This was something else entirely. After what felt like an eternity, the human moved on. Once he was gone, the research team let out a collective breath they hadn't realized they were holding. Interesting, Dr. Vex muttered. Very interesting indeed. Kira, continue your observations of the young ones. Perhaps they have more to teach us about these creatures than we realized. As the meeting ended and the twin moons rose over the Montana landscape, Kira couldn't shake the feeling that they were all missing something obvious. The humans weren't just surviving on this planet. They were thriving. And you don't thrive without being very, very good at something. She just wasn't sure she wanted to know what that something was. Dawn broke over the Montana wilderness as 3 humans loaded equipment into their ground vehicle. The alien research team, hidden by their cloaking devices, watched with mild curiosity. After 5 days of observation, they had grown used to humans leaving their settlement in these vehicles. More specimen gathering, perhaps, whispered one researcher to another. They had observed humans returning with plants and supplies from previous trips. But Kira wasn't so sure. These humans moved differently. They carried long metal tools similar to what she had seen near their camp, and they wore clothing that helped them blend into the environment. Her tail twitched nervously as she recorded their movements. "Lead researcher," she called quietly into her communicator. "I request permission to follow these humans." Dr. Vex's voice crackled back. "Granted. Take Team 2 with you, but maintain absolute stealth protocols." The humans drove their vehicle deep into the forest, eventually stopping near a clearing. The alien researchers followed silently through the trees, their advanced technology making them virtually invisible. What happened next changed everything they thought they knew about humans. The three humans moved through the forest with a grace that seemed impossible for their bulky forms. They communicated using small hand signals, their movements becoming more precise with each step. They were tracking something. "Are they hunting?" one of the alien researchers whispered in disbelief. Hours passed. The humans showed no signs of fatigue as they followed tracks that even the aliens' advanced sensors barely detected. They moved as one unit, each covering the other's blind spots, their metal tools always ready. Suddenly, one human raised his hand. The others froze instantly. Through the trees, the aliens could see their prey, a large deer, completely unaware of the human's presence. What happened next horrified and fascinated the alien observers in equal measure. The deer bolted at the sound of the human weapon. But instead of giving up, the humans followed. When the deer ran, they walked. When it stopped to rest, they appeared. Hour after hour, they pushed the animal to its limits. "This is impossible," one researcher muttered, checking his instruments. "Their core temperatures should be dangerously high. They should be exhausted." But the humans kept going. They were sweating heavily, but their movements remained steady, purposeful. The deer ran again and again, but each time the humans appeared, walking at that same steady pace. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the deer could run no more. Its advanced evolutionary cooling system was no match for the humans' persistence. As it stood trembling in a clearing, the humans approached with their weapons ready. The shot was quick and clean. The deer fell instantly. But what truly shocked the alien observers was what happened next. The humans approached their prey with what appeared to be respect. They performed some kind of ritual, speaking words of gratitude. Then, with incredible efficiency, they began preparing the deer for transport. "Base camp," Kira transmitted, her voice shaking slightly. "Are you receiving this?" "We are," Dr. Vex replied. His usually confident voice sounded uncertain. This changes everything." The humans worked quickly, wasting nothing. They used tools to process their kill, and soon had the meat packaged and ready for transport. Their movements showed years of practiced skill. As the alien team watched the humans head back to their vehicle, a chilling realization swept through them. These creatures weren't the harmless tool users they had assumed. They were something far more dangerous, persistent predators with the intelligence to use tools and the endurance to outlast any prey. Research log. Final entry for today. Dr. Vex recorded later that evening. "We came to this planet looking for deadly predators. We assumed they would have claws, fangs, or poison. We were wrong. The deadliest predator on this planet hunts not with natural weapons, but with intelligence, tools, and a terrifying ability to simply never stop coming." He paused, looking at the footage again before adding, "May the stars help any species that ever makes an enemy of these humans." Dr. Vex paced the length of the research vessel's main laboratory, all four of his eyes fixed on the data displays floating around him. The observation team had returned to the ship to analyze their findings, and what they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "Play the historical data again," he commanded. The holographic display showed Earth's timeline. Millions of years ago, the planet had been dominated by massive predators, creatures that would have earned an immediate top ranking in their dangerous species catalog. But then something changed. "Look here," he said, pointing to a specific point in the timeline. "This is when humans first appeared. Small, weak, with no natural weapons. They should have gone extinct. Instead, the display showed human civilization spreading across the globe, while other species gradually disappeared or decreased in numbers. It wasn't just random chance, it was systematic." "Sir," Kira called from her research station, "you need to see this." She brought up new data on the main screen. "We've been analyzing human biology. Their adaptations, they're unlike anything we've ever seen." The room's other researchers gathered around as Kira explained her findings. Their sweat glands allow them to cool down while moving. They can maintain pursuit for hours, even days. Their legs are designed for walking and running long distances. Their hands. She paused, bringing up detailed images of human hands. Their hands can manipulate tools with incredible precision. But that's not the most dangerous part, Dr. Vex has added, his scales darkening with concern. "Show them the brain scans." New images appeared, showing human brain activity during various tasks. The patterns were incredibly complex, showing multiple areas working together in ways the alien scientists had never seen before. "They don't just use tools," Dr. Vex has explained. "They imagine new ones. They solve problems. They learn and adapt faster than any species we've studied." Those children, Kira observed, they weren't just playing. They were practicing skills that are burned into their species' memory. One of the junior researchers spoke up. "But surely their lack of natural weapons makes them less dangerous than other predators." Dr. Vex laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Less dangerous. Look at this footage again." The display showed various scenes they had recorded. Humans hunting, humans building, humans teaching their young. Each clip demonstrated their incredible adaptability. "They don't need natural weapons," Dr. Vex continued. "They can make better ones. Those simple metal tools we saw them hunting with, those are primitive by their standards. Their cities have weapons that could destroy entire regions." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. One of the researchers brought up an interesting point. "But they don't seem aggressive. They haven't attacked us, even though." He stopped, realizing what he was about to say. "Even though what?" Dr. Vex asked, his tail twitching. "Well, sir, according to these readings, they've known we were here the whole time." The revelation hit the room like a physical force. Dr. Vex quickly brought up their sensor logs. Sure enough, there were signs they'd missed, subtle signals, occasional tracking devices that they'd dismissed as primitive technology, regular patrol patterns by their military aircraft. "They'd been watching us watch them," Kira whispered. Dr. Vex nodded slowly. "And they let us continue our observation. They wanted us to see what they're capable of." He turned to face his team, his expression grave. "We came here looking for the galaxy's deadliest predator. We found it, not because humans are the strongest or the fastest or the most vicious. They're the deadliest because they can outthink, outblast, and outadapt any other species." He looked back at the display showing the peaceful-looking human town below. "Update the classification in the Grand Archive. Humans are to be listed as Class 1 predators, not for their natural weapons, but for something far more dangerous, their ability to turn any environment, any situation, and any tool to their advantage." As if to emphasize his point, their sensors detected another human aircraft passing by their position, following the exact same patrol pattern they'd been seeing all week. The message was clear. The observers were being observed. Alarms blared through the research vessel Seeker without warning. Red lights flashed across every deck as the ship's sensors detected multiple incoming signals. Dr. Vex rushed to the command center, his scales turning pale with concern. "Report," he barked as he entered the room. "Sir, we're picking up transmissions. Hundreds of them," the communications officer said, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "They're coming from everywhere." The main screen lit up with signal patterns, What they had thought was simple background noise from human communications suddenly resolved into clear, structured military transmissions. They were in code, but the patterns were unmistakable. How long? Dr. Vex demanded. How long have they been coordinating these signals? Since we arrived, sir, another researcher answered, checking the logs. We thought their technology was too primitive to detect us, but they've been tracking our every move. Look at this. The screen showed their ship's movement pattern over the past week, overlaid with human satellite positions and military base locations. The humans had created a perfect observation net around them. Kira, who had just returned from her final ground mission, stepped forward. Sir, there's more. Those children I was watching. Some of them were carrying small devices. I thought they were toys, but she plugged her data recorder into the ship's computer. The screen filled with close-up images of what appeared to be simple communication devices in the children's hands. But when the computer analyzed them, they turned out to be sophisticated monitoring equipment disguised as everyday objects. They knew, Dr. Vex whispered. They knew exactly what we were doing, and they put on a show for us. Just then, a new transmission cut through their communications. Unlike the coded military signals, this one was clear and directed straight at their ship. A human voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. Research vessel in high orbit. This is Earth Defense Command. We've enjoyed hosting your research team this past week. Perhaps it's time we talk directly. The entire command center froze. The humans hadn't just detected them. They'd decoded their language. Sir, the sensor officer called out, his voice shaking slightly. I'm detecting multiple orbital platforms powering up. They were cloaked. Our sensors didn't see them until now. Dr. Vex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Their ship was surrounded by human weapons platforms that had been there the entire time, hidden by technology that shouldn't have been possible for their level of civilization. That hunting party we observed, Kira said slowly, the one that showed us their persistence hunting technique. They weren't just hunting, were they? Dr. Vex shook his head. No. They were sending us a message, showing us exactly what humans are capable of. The patience to track prey for days, the intelligence to use tools and strategy, the endurance to never stop coming. Another transmission came through. We'll give you 1 hour to respond. We're certainly interested in cultural exchange, but we need to ensure our planet's security. You understand, of course. The implicit threat was clear. The humans had allowed their observation because it suited their purposes, but they could end it at any time. Prepare a response, Dr. Vex ordered. Tell them we would be honored to engage in direct diplomatic contact. As his crew scrambled to compose a suitable message, Dr. Vex updated his final research log. Warning to all future research vessels. Earth classification. Extreme caution. These humans are not what they appear to be. They are not simple tool users who got lucky. They are not peaceful prey creatures who built cities. They are apex predators who chose to let us study them, who watched us while we watched them, and who could have ended our mission at any time. He paused, looking at the image of Earth rotating peacefully below them. Most importantly, they are patient. They will wait, they will watch, and they will learn everything about you before you even realize they're there. The galaxy's deadliest predator isn't the one that charges in for the kill. It's the one smart enough to let its prey come to it. General Thompson stood in the underground command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching dozens of holographic screens tracking the alien research vessel. The room buzzed with quiet activity as military personnel monitored every aspect of the situation. Play back the morning's sensor data, he ordered, his voice calm despite the historical significance of the moment. A young lieutenant quickly brought up the footage showing the aliens' realization that they had been watched the entire time. They finally figured it out, said Major Reed, his second in command. Question is, sir, why did we let them study us for so long? The general smiled. The best way to understand someone is to let them think they're the ones doing the studying. He walked over to a large screen showing the aliens' research data, which Earth's cybersecurity team had been quietly downloading since the vessel's arrival. "Look at this," he continued, pointing to various sections. Their mission was to catalog the galaxy's most dangerous predators. They'd visited hundreds of worlds, studied thousands of species, and now we have access to all of that information. The command center's main door opened, and Dr. Wilson, head of Xenobiology, rushed in with a tablet in her hands. "General, you need to see this. We've finished analyzing their biological data." She quickly pulled up her findings on the main screen. "These aliens, they're from a world with multiple apex predators. Their entire evolution was based on developing defensive capabilities. Tough scales, quick reflexes, enhanced senses. But look at their psychological profile." The screen showed detailed scans of the alien researchers' brain patterns. "They think like prey species," Dr. Wilson explained. "Always alert for danger, always ready to defend. Even as scientists, their first instinct is to avoid confrontation." "Unlike us," Major Reed added thoughtfully. "Exactly," General Thompson agreed. "We evolved as persistence predators. We don't just fight when we have to. We solve problems. We plan ahead. We figure out our prey's weaknesses before we ever make our move." He brought up footage from the past week, the hunting party they had deliberately sent out when they knew the aliens were watching, the children's games in the park with hidden monitoring devices, the regular military patrols that had been quietly mapping the alien vessel's capabilities. "We didn't just let them study us," the general continued. "We showed them exactly what we wanted them to see. The hunting party demonstrated our persistence in tool use. The children showed our ability to train and adapt. Every move we made was calculated to send a message." Dr. Wilson nodded. "And their research data shows they got that message loud and clear. They've classified humans as Class 1 predators, their highest danger rating. Not because we're the strongest or fastest, but because we're the smartest," Major Reed finished. "The most adaptable, the most patient," General Thompson added. He turned to face his team. "Their ship has better technology than ours. Their weapons are more advanced. But none of that matters because we understand something they don't." He pointed to the screen showing the alien vessel surrounded by Earth's previously hidden defense platforms. "In nature, the most dangerous predator isn't the one with the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. It's the one that can outthink its prey. The one that can turn any situation to its advantage." A lieutenant spoke up from her monitoring station. "Sir, they're transmitting a response. They're requesting diplomatic contact." General Thompson smiled again. "Of course they are, because they finally understand what we wanted them to learn. That humanity isn't just another spacefaring species. We're the galaxy's most successful predators precisely because we don't look like predators." He turned to face the main screen, watching the alien vessel now surrounded by Earth's defense grid. "Send a response accepting their request for diplomatic contact. It's time we showed them that humanity is ready to join the galactic community, not as the primitive species they thought we were, but as equals who have earned their respect." As his orders were carried out, General Thompson made a mental note to thank the hunting party that had put on such a convincing show. Sometimes the best way to avoid a fight was to make sure everyone understood exactly what you were capable of. The United Nations Assembly Hall had never been so quiet. Representatives from every nation sat in stunned silence as Dr. Vex completed his presentation. The huge screens behind him showed detailed analysis of humanity's capabilities, compiled during their week of observation. "And so," Dr. Vex concluded, his scaled form standing dignified at the podium, "we came to your world seeking the galaxy's deadliest predators. We found them, but not in your jungles or oceans. We found them building cities, teaching their young, and reaching for the stars." General Thompson sat in the front row, exchanging knowing looks with his international counterparts. The alien researcher had no idea that this very meeting was being broadcast to every major military command center on Earth. "Your species," Dr. Vex continued, is unique in our database. Most predator species rely on natural weapons: claws, fangs, venom. But humans, he paused, all four eyes blinking in sequence. Humans turn their greatest weakness into their greatest strength. He brought up new images on the screen: human hands crafting tools, human children learning, human hunters tracking prey. You don't need natural weapons because you can create better ones. You don't need armor because you can build shelters. You don't need speed because you have the patience and endurance to pursue any goal until you achieve it. Kira, standing beside her mentor, added her own observations. We watched your children play what we thought were simple games, but they were practicing skills that your species developed over millions of years: tracking, teamwork, tool use, problem solving. The assembly remained silent, absorbing the implications of their words. Humanity was being officially classified as the galaxy's apex predator species, not for their physical capabilities, but for their minds. Dr. Vex pressed a button, and the screen showed their final classification report. Species: human, Homo sapiens. Classification: Class 1 predator. Threat level: maximum. Special notes: approach with extreme caution. This species' true danger lies not in physical capabilities, but in intellectual and adaptive potential. They can turn any environment into their hunting ground and any object into a tool or weapon. General Thompson stood up, walking to the podium. Thank you for your thorough analysis, Dr. Vex. But I think there's something you still don't fully understand about humans. The alien researcher tilted his head curiously. Oh, you see us as predators, and you're not wrong. But our greatest strength isn't our ability to hunt or fight. The general gestured to the assembled representatives. It's our ability to choose not to. Understanding dawned in Dr. Vex's eyes. The defense platforms, your military capabilities. You could have destroyed our ship at any time. But we didn't, the general continued. Because humans have evolved beyond just being predators. We can be researchers, diplomats, teachers. We can choose cooperation over confrontation. Dr. Vex looked out at the assembled humans with new appreciation. You're not just predators who learn to use tools. You're predators who learn to build civilizations. Exactly, General Thompson smiled. And now we would like to learn about yours. The tension in the room finally broke. Representatives began standing, applauding both the alien researchers and humanity's peaceful first contact. Dr. Vex has made one final note in the official record. Update to species classification: humans. While maintaining Class 1 predator status, this species demonstrates unique capacity for peaceful cooperation despite predatory capabilities. Recommended approach: respect and diplomatic engagement. They make better allies than enemies. As the formal proceedings ended and discussions of cultural exchange began, Kira watched a group of human children who had been allowed to attend the historic event. They were already trying to communicate with some of the junior alien researchers, their natural curiosity overcoming any fear of the unknown. Perhaps, she thought, this is what makes humans truly special. Not that they are the galaxy's deadliest predators, but that they choose to be so much more. The galaxy's most lethal predator had turned out to be its most promising partner in peace.